Guys, welcome to our first Fearless podcast. I am absolutely over the moon and delighted to be introducing the woman, or is it superwoman, Kim Constable, bikini champion, multi-millionaire businesswoman. I believe probably the best businesswoman in the UK and Ireland. And I'm delighted to say she's my first guest. She's my friend. I've met her multiple times. She is the most realest person I've ever met. Kim, thank you so much for coming on.
Tommy, that was some introduction, I tell you.
But
I'm always a wee bit I have to
true.
be honest, I'm always a wee bit taken aback actually whenever I hear you talk about me. I'm like, I always have a bit of imposter syndrome. I'm like, Tommy's a really nice guy, but like he talks a lot of shite.
I know, but then would that be self-sabotaging behavior, you telling yourself that? Because the world sees you as that person, and so do I. Like, I,
Yeah.
I'm very lucky to be walking about with Grant Cardone, Brandon Dawson, billionaires. And the first time I met you was in Hollywood. And within about 10 minutes, you told me, I'm going to be the first female billionaire from Northern Ireland. And I'm like, hello. So let's think about who you really are.
Yeah, modest as well, clearly.
Yeah, but the thing is, I ain't talking shit. You're that woman.
Yeah, that I do have big plans actually to be the first female, first here. So let me clarify actually, the first self-made female billionaire in the UK and Ireland, because there are actually a couple of female billionaires, I think, in the UK. I think there's one in the UK and one in Ireland, but they're not no, do you know what? There's one self-made in the UK. She owns betting shops, but as far as I know, there's no self-made female billionaires. And I think that that is actually a very important distinction because it's not
Oh, yeah.
something that has been inherited. It's something that you've made yourself. Listen, I always think you have to have a goal, don't you? You have to have something to shoot towards. But probably like you, I think because I just keep my head down and I work, and I'm actually, despite what everyone thinks on social media, I'm actually a very, very private person, believe it or not. Although I do, I share what I want to share on social media, but genuinely my inner circle is very, very, very small. I'm actually a very private person. I keep my head down and I work. And I
Yeah.
think that because of that, I like it. I don't have any false modesty, but I'm also not used to people as well. Like I am this way with other people. I'm very, very supportive, I guess, of other people. Like I talk well. If someone else is doing well, I'm like right behind them, can't even say that word. You know what I'm trying to say? Like being like their biggest supporter. And you're like that as well, which I think, it takes nothing away from someone to be, supporting and lifting up someone else because, you raise everybody up whenever you raise yourself up, like or you raise someone else up, there's enough room at the top for everybody. And so I'm like that as well, the same way as you are. So but I thank you so much. Like you are very complimentary of me and I genuinely appreciate it, but I know it's also a projection of you, which is really sweet.
Yeah, but
So yeah.
for me, and I want you to really introduce yourself, who you are to everyone. But for me, when I see somebody, especially from our own country, killing it, it makes me so proud to be from Northern Ireland, Ireland, whatever everybody wants to call it. And it gives me so much pride. Plus, indirectly, you leave a huge impression of increase on me for me to do more. So your wins helps me to want to do more myself, which pours more rocket fuel on my journey. So indirectly, thank you, because it really does help people like myself. But so tell us who the real Kim is.
Who's the real Kim? I guess most people do know me as the Sculpted Vegan, but I have many facets, I guess, to my life. I've always been a very driven, a very determined person. I've always, really tried to excel in everything that I do. It's just in me to really excel at anything I take on. Like I just don't take it on. Like I become it,
Best of
until
it.
until I'm full up with it, and then I move on. And so I've always been that way, but most people will know me as the Sculpted Vegan, I guess, because that is what my brand is synonymous with. But I'm a mum. I have 4 kids. I have an incredible husband, Ryan. We have an event yard with 5 high level competition horses. I also have, so like I also bodybuild, like I also train in the gym regularly, and I'm very into my training. So I kind of have these different facets of my life, if you like. I kind of believe that if you are gonna live life, you should really fucking live it. Like you should
Absolutely.
live it. You get one shot at it. And I've always said to my kids, I never, ever would want to look back and say, I wish, or I regret not doing that thing. I want to get to the end of my life, whenever that is, God willing that it's long. And I want to look back and say, I did everything that I wanted to do, or everything that I could possibly do, everything I could fit in to my life. And people say to me, Kim, you're going to burn out. Oh, Kim, you're always, you're always moving at 100 miles an hour. Kim, you've always got so much going on. And I'm like, but isn't that what life's about? And as long as I'm enjoying it, where's the problem? So
Life's an adventure. And, you would hear Denzel Washington saying and Les Brown, you do not want to be on your deathbed many years from now, looking at the ghosts of the person you could have been. And I'm like the male version of you. I just want it. And, you have to drive the Lamborghinis and the private jets. And it's not about showing off. You're living your life to its full, because on the flip side of it, my best friend died 3 years ago, coming up to 3 years. Gary, and I miss him so much every day. And on that basis, I've dedicated myself to being successful and giving my wife and children the life of their wildest dreams. And that comes, like, me and you'll both agree this, success is our duty.
yes, I agree. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and then off the back of being successful, you enjoy this wonderful life, but you also know hard work works. It doesn't come easy.
Yeah. Yeah. And do you know what else is Johnny just mentioning private jets? So I love that we just jumped in, by the way. This is how I do podcasts. Natalie sent me through the list of questions that your assistant sent through. And I just glanced at them and I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure we're not going to fucking talk about any of that. Like Tommy and I are just going to get on here and we're just going to start talking, I love it whenever conversations go that way. But,
Sure.
but the talking about like private jets and stuff, I think that one of the other things that, the misconception people have is they go, because quite often, like if I have to have meetings, but I have to be somewhere, say with the horses, I'll say, Natalie, I need you to be at my house because I need you to drive because I need to have this meeting in the car. And she'll be like, okay, no problem at all. So she has to come with me to whatever schooling or whatever training I'm doing with the horses, so that I can meet in the car, or if you're flying somewhere, people are like, oh, it must be so luxurious to fly first class to Australia or whatever. I'm like, you know what? It is luxurious and it is wonderful, but it's also a necessity because I have to perform at a very high level. So when I travel, I have to be able to sleep. I have to be like, I bring my own pillows, I bring earplugs, eye mask. Like whenever you perform at such a high level, you can't arrive in Australia completely bedraggled and wrecked, because then you're playing catch up there and you're playing catch up on the way back. I have to manage and maneuver kind of my life very, very thoughtfully in order to be able to still perform, because there's so many things to do every day and so many people depending on me. And so that's, that's why I think people they don't understand that when you fly private or you fly first, or you have, people drive you around, or like I have a private chef who works for me full time. I have full-time housekeeping, full-time weekend housekeeping. These are not like luxuries. I'm not swanning around going for lunch with the girls. I have a full-time private chef because nutrition is extremely important to me. And if I'm spending time cooking, I'm not spending time running the business.
I get that 100%.
And so I think that's, I love what a lot of people don't understand. They say, oh, the sculpted vegan. And I get a lot of shit online, but I'm just like, I just skip along. When people are talking shit about me, I don't care. I'm like, talk about me both days I get paid. Love me or hate me. That's one of my favorite Grant Cardone quotes I said all the time. He's like, if you love me, tell all your friends. If you hate me, tell all your friends, because both days I get paid. And I thought that was brilliant. But people do love to talk shit about me and love to say, oh, she's this and she's so up herself and she's always showing off. And, and I'm like, you just have no fucking clue. Like, you have absolutely no clue.
I haven't met that Kim yet. I've just had a really nice girl.
Right. Yeah.
Professional. I've been very lucky to meet your husband, who's a complete gentleman. You can see that you're the mom, the champion, show jumper. And why would you not want to be that version of you?
Yeah.
And, just to jump back to what you're saying, obviously I'd be using private cars and bits and pieces, whatever I need to do, but it's so that I can work the journey.
Yeah.
When I'm flying to Miami to meet Grant Cardone and things like that, it enables me to work for 9 hours. I'm not sitting on a flight watching movies.
Exactly. Here, funny story for you, Tommy. Actually, I have recently become friends with Robbie from Previvia.
Right.
Yes. Yes, I know. And so anyway, but it was because I saw it on your story. So I was like, I messaged him and I was like, Robbie, right. I says, we're going to Marbella. We're taking the whole family. We've got a villa in the Marbella Club. We're going in May. I said, I think I'd rather fly private. I don't want to go easy sweat. Like I want to fly private. So, can you sort me out with the plane? And he was like, yeah, no problem at all. He said, okay, I'll send you through some options. I said, great. So he sent me through some options. And I think the cheapest one was like 40 grand. And I looked and I messaged back and I was like, Robbie, okay, so I'm not quite that rich yet, but whenever I am, this is my new goal now. I want to be able to fly private to Marbella. I want to be able to justify a 40 grand flight to Marbella, because like, here's the thing. Could I pay it? Yes, of course I could. Am I fucking going to pay 40 grand to go to Marbella? No, I'm absolutely not.
Okay.
Because I'm just not there yet. But when I'm a billionaire, I will be. But I thought that was a funny story. I think that goes back to what we were talking about. You have to have a certain level of humility. I do go around and, on Instagram, people love seeing my Chanel handbags and me taking shopping trips in Louis Vuitton. It's I always show a lot on Instagram because it's like an aspirational lifestyle, and people want, like, I love following people who are, following them flying first class and, and going into Louis Vuitton. It's kind of you're living the dream almost. So I love to give people the dream, right? But at the end of the day, if you meet me and you're like, oh, Kim, are you flying private? I would never say, oh, well, we chose not to this time, because it was just, the jet wasn't available. I'd be like, fuck me, you sent me through the price was 40 grand. There's no way I'm paying that. They're all going on EasyJet. Like, there's no way. I won't pretend to be something I'm not. And I think that's the biggest thing. That's part of the reason I've been able to be successful. Part of the reason why you've been able to be successful, because you what you see is what you get. I'm just me, and I'm me everywhere I go. I'm me with you. I'm me with my, people who buy my programs. I'm me with my family. I'm me with my staff. I'm just me anywhere I go, and I don't have to pretend to be anybody else. I'll just be straight with you, as you know, Tommy. I'll just be direct with you, because then we all know where we stand.
The girl that I see in the mornings, good morning Insta, is the person who I've met every time I've met you.
Right. Yes.
Which is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. And you too, you're exactly the same, like every time I've seen you, it's always been, hi, how are you doing? You're so enthusiastic. And I went, fuck me, he's a lot of enthusiasm. Tommy's very, very fresh today, but like you're just always so happy and always so friendly and encouraging. And I think that, that's part of the reason why you're successful, because you have that magnetic energy, like you just give it out and you give it out, and you're so generous, and you're generous with your advice, and you're generous with your sharing, and you're generous. I believe very much in the law of reciprocity. I just give and give and give and give and give, and it just always flows back. But I don't give so it will flow back. I just give because I'm a giver. I'm a giver. You need my help? I'm there. You want some money? I'll give it to you. Your mate's in trouble? No problem. I'll drive and pick her up. I'm just a giver. That's how I was taught to be by my parents. And I do believe that is one of the reasons why I've been able to build the Sculpted Vegan, why I've been able to be so successful, because when someone buys one of my programs, every single person who buys a program is important to me. And I'm going, how can I make this better for them? How can I maximize their journey? How can I give them more? How can I give them more support? I spend so much money on coaches in the company to support people after they've purchased, and on customer service. It's what we're known for in the Sculpted Vegan. And I think that whenever you do that with people and you really are in their corner and on their side, everything just flows. It just flows back to you.
When you were talking about giving, I actually got goose pimples, because when you want it so naturally to help others, I remember a guy in Belfast said to me, I see you're always doing things to help people, Tom. It must be great when you get it back. And I'm like, bro, I don't do it to get it back. I do it because I've got love in my heart and I want to help somebody, whether that's helping a homeless person that I've just met in Belfast or Manchester, or sending money to Africa to help build a well. I do it because I want to do it. If something's coming back from it, let it come back, but it ain't why I'm doing it in the first place.
I do it because I can. Like if I, silly things like, I know we've got completely off track here, but I'm enjoying it. It's silly things like, there was a guy, I saw a friend of mine posted a GoFundMe there at Christmas. A friend of hers had been, they own like a candle making company, a small business. They had been defrauded out of a lot of money, really badly defrauded out of a lot of money. And like they literally cleared their bank account, and they were really struggling in the business. They started a GoFundMe. The guy put up this video. He was so humble, and he was like, this is so not me to have to do this, but I really am at a point of desperation. Like, I don't know, what to do. And, any money you can give, to help would be amazing. I gave him 5 grand. I didn't know him, but I was like, I can, I can give this guy, I can help this guy out. So if I can, why would I not? A friend of mine's dad got cancer. She started a GoFundMe, I gave her a lot of 4 figures. I'm like, well, if I can, it doesn't cost, at the end of the day, well, I could go into Louis Vuitton and spend that, or Chanel and spend that money in a handbag, or I could give that money to this bloke over here who really fucking needs it. So that's the way I've always been. And then because of that, it just flows back. But I don't, as you say, you don't do it so that it flows back. I don't care if I love helping people, and I don't care if they never help me back or they never have an opportunity to help me back. That's not
So
why I do it.
let's also forget about the Northern Ireland or the Ireland and the UK thing. You're a global superstar. You own the world's biggest sculpted vegan bodybuilding.
Yes, we're the world's largest online
World,
bodybuilding company, not even vegan.
The world's, you're global.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me all about it. It's like, wow.
Yeah, do you know we've sold over 500,000 programs in the last 6 years, over 500,000 programs sold. Like, it's an insane amount of programs whenever you think about it. But I always set out to go global. It's funny, I always set out to, we charge in dollars. I always had a bigger mindset than Northern Ireland. And that was, a lot of people from the UK will say to me, why are you charging in dollars? And I'm like, because if you look at the size of the UK compared to the size of America, you have a much better chance of being successful if you're marketing in America. But also you have to understand the psychology of pricing. So in America, because of the exchange rate, $97 over there, $100 over there, $100 is about 78 pence in our money in GBP. So if someone in America sees, this is 78p, or sorry, 78 pounds or 80 pounds or 97 pounds, and they see this program and they think they want it. Well, the first thing they do is they see the pound sign and they don't really understand it. So they immediately go, that's not for me.
Yes.
That's the first thing that happens psychologically. The second thing that happens is they go, okay, oh, hang on, that's in pounds. Well, how much is that in dollars? So now you've got a second layer of confusion, which is a second layer of resistance to just hitting the buy now button. So then they go, oh, that's $1.22 or that's $1.33 or whatever the exchange rate is at the time. So they go, that's $133. And they go, oh, no, that's, now it's over the psychological price point of $100. So selling is really just about psychology. It's about understanding the friction points that your customer will go through in order to, purchase your product. And in America, it's a massive, massive country, and everybody understands the dollar. Most people in the world understand the dollar. If they don't even understand it, they've heard of it. Yeah, they get, we've grown up watching American movies. We've seen the dollar signs. We talk about, her eyes, she had dollar signs in her eyes. So everybody understands the dollar, but not everybody understands, the Great British Pound. So I made the very strategic decision to charge in dollars to hit that American market, so that, we advertise to the big six. I don't know if you know what the big six are, but it's, America, the USA, Canada, Ireland, the UK, Australia, and New Zealand are the big six. And that's where most of my customers will come from. But 80% of my customers are in America. 80%. So, and then the rest is spread between, I think Australia is actually the next biggest, believe it or not. So we haven't done the percentages in a while. It may even be slightly less in America now because our Australian audience is massive. So, but anyway, that's where most of our audience is concentrated. Australia, America, probably the UK third, and then, Canada, Ireland, and then the rest of Europe as well.
Do you think Ireland and the UK need to get more up to date on, the benefits of being a vegan? Or what? I know it's because of the size of the country, but why do you think
listen,
far behind?
Honestly, people ask me why I started the Sculpted Vegan. And sometimes on podcasts, people are hesitant to ask me that because they're like, because they think I'm gonna, maybe start preaching to them about them eating meat is not a good choice. And I always go, which is the honest God's truth. A funny story, actually, to illustrate this. My trainer, Mark Getty, I went into the gym first ever time. Who's a legend in bodybuilding. Biggest man, as wide as he is tall. And Mark always tells this story. And he says, oh, I tell you what, he goes, I knew Kim and I were going to get on the first time I met her because I said to her, well then, why did you become vegan, Kim? And he goes, and I'll always remember, she turned around and says to me, because I saw I could use it to make money. And Mark was like, oh. Right. He says, he expected me to say, because I just love animals or whatever. And don't get me wrong, I do love animals, and I do believe, and there are greater reasons for me choosing a plant-based way of life. One of which is I love animals. The other is actually on a larger, grander, more economic scale. The amount of energy that goes into feeding one cow to produce it for meat could feed 2,000 hungry people. So the energy that goes into growing the grain to feed the cow, but to produce one cow for meat and for leather, could actually feed 2,000 hungry people. And whenever I saw the economics of that, I was like, that's crazy. Like, if everybody stopped eating meat, there would be no hungry people in the world, theoretically. So because I really am a humanitarian in that way, whenever I saw that, I thought, I just can't participate in this anymore. And that is actually why I went vegetarian to start. And honestly, I was vegetarian for a long time. And then the reason I went vegan was because I thought, let's just give it a go. Like it's the next step in vegetarianism. And it seems quite hard. And I like doing hard things. I like to challenge myself. So I honestly went vegan to challenge myself. And then after I was vegan, I then started to train as a bodybuilder, couldn't find a vegan program that I could buy that would teach me how to get to the stage as a vegan bodybuilder. And so I realized there was a real opportunity in the market to create one. But to go back to your question, would people benefit more from being vegan? Not really, to be honest. I do think that people would benefit more, as you know, from exercising more, eating less crap. I was going to say drinking less alcohol, but that's a bit rich coming from me because I enjoy we drink, as you know, Tommy.
I know you do. Yes, I know
I
you.
do. But people on Instagram think that I drink far more than I do because I love to show it off on Instagram, but I really actually don't. I always say to people, I drink frequently. I'll have like a glass or two of champagne, but I don't actually drink a lot, believe it or not.
I'm the polar opposite. I'm in recovery.
I know you are.
And it's been the
Congratulations.
best thing I've ever done in my life.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
Takes
have
a lot of strength.
Wouldn't have a drink for 200 million pounds. It changed my life. And I also found God on that journey. Although if we drop F-bombs, that will probably end up leaving. But when you look at a 12-step program, if everybody lived their life like that,
yes,
the world would be a better place.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
I'm going to mind my own business. That's a journey I'm on. But like, I highly recommend it. And, for me, with my mentoring program and I'm working with people in Australia and America, and you can work at different time zones. When I'm getting up at 3:30 a.m. and you don't have a hangover, it's the game changer because you're sharp as a tack all of the time.
Yeah, and your hangovers it last as well. Whenever you get to our age, they last a wee bit longer. But I'm actually I'm definitely not going to give up drinking because I do enjoy it too much. It's funny. Somebody said to me the other day, they're like, why do you what is it that why do you enjoy a drink or whatever? And I enjoy like a glass. I mostly drink champagne, so I love a glass of champagne. Yeah, I know. And I said, but you know what I said? I said, the funny thing is, because a lot of people do say to me sometimes, especially on Instagram, it's very judgmental. Do you not think that you'll be better if you gave up drinking? And I would say, you know what? You're probably right. I probably would be. But here's why I drink. Because because of the life that I lead, and I have so much pressure on me from the amount of people that I employ and who are constantly, I don't know how you feel, Tommy, but I feel like my life is spent answering questions. Questions in America, questions here, questions from the staff, questions at the yard, questions at home, questions from the kids. I'm answering and organizing questions in so many different facets because my home is like a business.
Yeah, well,
it's like, if you think about it, my house is like a business. Like I have a team of housekeepers. I have a full-time housekeeper and I have 2 weekend housekeepers, and I have a private chef, and we have gardeners who come in and do the garden. And we have we're constantly getting stuff done around the house. And then we have a guy who's on retainer who does all our handiwork around the house. And so from my house, I get questions from all those people about, what's happening for dinner, and is this meal plan okay? And where do you want this to go? And Jack needs new clothes. Should I take him to get this? So I'm answering questions from those people who run my house. But then I come into the office, and then I've got all the questions here from the people in this time zone, but then all the questions from all my team in America, because a lot of my core directors are in America and Canada. So they're most productive at 9 p.m. my time. So they're like, what do you think about this? And should we do this? And what about this strategy? And what about this? And does this page work? And whatever, so those are coming in all day. And then I've got the yard, and every night Natasha's messaging me, my stable manager, and she's like, here's what happened with the horses today. Is the 5 horses. Do you want them all on the treadmill in the morning? Do you want them to be here? What's happening with this? Do you want to increase Peter's chaff? He doesn't need the energy, but he needs a thing. So I'm then having to switch gears and think about these 5 horses that are performing at a very high level, and think about, their training and their supplements and their food and their, and what's best for them and what events we have coming up and who needs managing, who needs where. So my brain has to go, chunk, 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 has to shift gears.
I get it. So
constantly. So I use alcohol as a state change.
While you're running a 30 million pound business, you have to become a different version of yourself. So
constantly.
You're a champion horse racer, then the bodybuilder, then the CEO. How do you feel switching from person to person?
Alcohol, Tommy, that's how I cope. No, I am teasing. No, I'm teasing, but I'm not teasing. And that is just what I was going to say. Sometimes I go home and I'm like, and honestly, sometimes the pressure genuinely weighs on me so much. But and I know that to de-stress and to have what I call a state change. So I come home and I'm like, I need a state change. And so I know that I have all these options open to me for a state change. I could meditate, I could pray, I could go for a walk. I could, I could talk to my husband. There's so many options open to me. But also one of those options is I can have a glass of champagne, and that alcohol hits my blood very quickly, and I get a state change like that. And that is on it. And you're like, Tommy's in
Yeah,
recovery going,
when
this
I
is
drink,
actually the voice. This is the narrative of an alcoholic. I'm going to have a wee side conversation with Kim after this
and
podcast.
I did drink champagne was my thing. So what's your
Yeah.
favorite champagne?
Oh, I don't really have. I mean, my ultimate favorite is a vintage Dom Perignon, like 2012. Like if I could drink vintage Dom all day, I totally would. But at £250 a bottle, I don't think that's going to happen. My next favorite, I love a wee Veuve Clicquot. It doesn't even have to be vintage. I like a wee Veuve Clicquot. And then really anything like we always have a joke in this. I love Mille Quatre Salmon. So you see, I pronounce them the French way because I speak French, and so I'm always like, and whenever Maya, my last assistant, she's now head of customer service, I would have said to her, "Can you order me 12 bottles of Mille Quatre Salmon?" And she'd be like, "Oh, of what?" I'd be like, "Mille Quatre Salmon." She's like, "Okay, sure." So she'd be going like, "What the fuck does she want me to order?" Like, I don't know. So it became a standing joke in the office about my champagne. But yeah, any champagne, Tommy, as long as it's bubbly and it's got a percentage, I ain't turning it down. But that is why I drink. That is, I have that glass of champagne and I have an instant that alcohol hits my blood. I have an instant state change. And then I have one more and I have a better, and then I have another state change. And then usually that's enough.
Okay.
That's all I have. That's all I need. And I go to bed and I sleep great, and I still wake up at 4 a.m. and I feel great. But I use alcohol strategically.
Good.
And I've never abused it. I've never overused it. I've never been a binge drinker. I know when to stop. I like the kick I get from it, but I don't like it to ever go further than the kick.
And
Do you know what
that's
I mean?
because from somebody who is a recovering alcoholic, um, I wouldn't know how to stop if I had two glasses,
Right.
and why I had to stop.
Right. And
So,
I know I have friends like that who they have two glasses and then the wit goes out the window and then they start speeding up as they drink.
yeah, it's not even the wit. What I would really like people to understand out there is there's an allergy that's reacted then and activated inside my body because
Right.
we're completely wired differently than a normal person through the
Mm-hmm.
addiction of alcoholism.
Mm-hmm.
And if I have one, two, or three glasses, the next thing it's three, four, or five bottles.
Yes.
And then I don't know where that's going to end up. So I got to a point where I love myself enough through self-love that I didn't want to hit self-destruct anymore. And I didn't want to be selfish around my wife and kids. And I just thought I need to become a better man. For me to be a mentor, a coach, a sales trainer, UFC mindset coach, all of that malarkey, I needed to be sober.
Mm-hmm. Well done though for making
The
that
way
decision.
you can do that, every single person I have ever met in AA would give their right arm to be able to drink like that, but we can't. And
Yes.
I also pride myself in knowing my weakness has become my biggest strength,
Yeah.
and the freedom not drinking, what it gives me is just exponential. Like being at GrowthCon in Miami, a party's about to start with famous rappers, Grant Cardone. I finished a Coke Zero, read my Bible, and went to bed.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Cliff Jones rapping down below, and I'm like, that ain't for me.
No.
That,
I'd be the same.
I,
I'd honestly be the same. I would have been in bed. I am not a party girl at all. Someone invited me to their house for dinner recently, and I messaged him and I was like, I'm not really an evening event kind of person. Could we do lunch? I was like, like I like to go to bed at 9, and and they were like, and he wasn't taking no for an answer. It was quite funny. So anyway, I ended up booking the date, but my husband was like, we're booking a taxi, or like I'm driving and we're leaving. We're leaving at 9. So we're very, I think it comes with being older as well. But I would be exactly the same as you, Tommy. I'm not. I like to work. I like to. Yeah. I don't like to not perform, and I think that anything that stopped me from performing I would definitely, yeah, I would knock it on the head.
accident from your life. So many people say on social media and talk a lot of nonsense, to be honest, about I made £1 million in my first year of business. You did.
Yeah, I did. Well, let's actually let's
Like,
clarify. It was actually a million. It wasn't pound. It was $1 million.
oh,
So
that's not
so
good enough.
I know it's not good enough. I know. Well, I always say to people, it's like, well, I usually talk in dollars, so I'll say like I made $1 million. It was actually $1.2 million, so it was just under £1 million. So we can say it was a million.
Incredible.
It was completely by accident, Tommy. It was completely by accident. I
Somehow
never
I
focused
don't,
on the
the
money.
professional person that I know right now, Don't tell me it was an accident. Talk us through how you did it.
Well, honestly, I hate to say that it was an accident, but it really was. People do ask me all the time, how did you do it? And I can tell them how I did it, but it wasn't like I set out to go, I want to make $1 million. It was, well, let me tell you actually. Okay, I'll tell you what I did. And this is what a lot of people don't understand. Sales is simply a numbers game. You have to talk to, which you have to talk to as many people as possible in order to make the sale. And so you have to know your numbers. But here are the basic numbers that we have tested again and again and again and again and again in business. And I knew this. So actually, you know what? I need to reverse a bit. So before I started my company, I had done a lot of like training in America and stuff. I had a friend whose family started the Seagram Corporation, and who, like, they're billionaires. And she was a good friend of mine, and she introduced me to a company that I did a lot of work with years ago. It was like a human potential company. And the founder of the company, I remember going to like a seminar that he was teaching once, and he said that he was talking about selling, and he said, 2 in 10 people, he said, the law of averages, it's Pareto's law. He said 2 in 10 people will be interested in what you have to sell. 2 in 10. And he said, and those 2 in 10 might not even purchase, but they'll be interested in what you have to sell. But he said then 20% of those two people will purchase. 20% of 2 people will purchase. And you're like, well, how do you get 20% of 2 people? That's less than 1 person. Well, what you have to do is you have to get 100 people. So if you have 100 people in a room, 20 of those 100 will be interested in what you have to sell, but only 20%, well, 10 to 20% of those 20 will purchase. That's between 2 and 4 people. So out of 100 people that you present your offering to, between 2 and 4 will purchase. And I remember being like, really? Like that low? Like I really hadn't, I'd never considered it that way, but it always stuck with me. Those numbers always stuck with me.
Yeah.
And for me as well, it took a lot of fear out of it, because I thought, well, so basically all I have to do is get my offering in front of a shitload of people. And I know that 2% of the people that I, get it in front of will probably purchase or are likely to purchase. So I then I launched the Sculpted Vegan program. And the first thing that I did was I saw a gap in the market. There was no vegan bodybuilder program with a scalable business model for sale on the internet. And I know, because I searched everywhere, and I would have been willing to pay.
Search for yourself.
Search for myself. I was like, I'm a vegan and I want to stand on stage as a bikini athlete. And so I just want to purchase I'd found a trainer here in Belfast, because he was like, I don't know how to train you. I don't know how to like advise on your nutrition. I said, don't worry, I'll figure it out myself, because I was a yoga teacher, and I, had studied nutrition for years. So I was like, I can figure this out. So I went home and I was like, I could figure this out, or I could just go on the internet and just find someone who's teaching this, and I'll just buy their program. And I didn't want one-to-one coaching or anything. I just wanted to buy like a done for you resource, because I'm really good at following things like that. So I went on the online and searched and searched and searched, and it didn't exist. And I suddenly was like, ding, 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 ding. And I thought, if I'm searching for this, there's bound to be millions of people the world over searching for this. Yeah. So I thought, well, I'm going to create this myself, and I'm going to sell it. I saw an opportunity in the market. So I for the next year, I wrote down every workout that I did, everything that I ate. I documented my entire journey of getting to the stage. Just FYI, I'm not a PT. I have no fitness qualifications. I'm a qualified yoga teacher. That's it. I have no formal qualifications in nutrition or bodybuilding or personal training or exercise science.
Said yoga teaching is amazing. My wife's addicted to yoga. The shape my wife Dolores is in, she looks like a 25-year-old woman.
She does, yeah, she does.
That's a huge accolade too, but the yoga teaching.
Yeah. So it gave me some kind of credibility, I guess, whenever I started. So anyway, I created this program, and then the next thing that I did was I knew that in order to, it wasn't any good just creating the program, because I had been kind of trying and failing to start online businesses for about 5 years before I decided on the Sculpted Vegan. I was a stay-at-home mom. I decided I want to make money online. Didn't want to leave the kids, but I wanted to try and make money. So I'd been kind of studying the online world, which is why I knew that a scalable business model existed, because I saw lots of people selling business programs using this model, but no one was using it in the fitness industry. No one was using it in the fitness industry. So I kind of thought, well, I can do what the business world is doing, the Amy Porterfields and the James Wedmores and, and Marie Forleo. And, those were all the ones who were doing really well. I thought I can borrow that concept and I can bring that across to the fitness industry in a way that no one else is. Because everyone who's in the fitness industry was like a PT or, so they were just too busy, personally doing training with people to, to think about starting an online business. So I thought, well, I can, take this expertise that I built in starting an online business and I can marry it with this and hopefully it'll work. So I created the program, but I knew I needed to figure out a way to sell it. That was the biggest thing. And so I bought Amy Porterfield's course at the time. It was called Webinars That Convert. It's now, I think, called Online Course Academy, I think it's called, or there's something anyway. Amy's a good friend of mine now. So she does, her course is amazing. But at the time it was called Webinars That Convert. I bought her program and I followed it to the letter. And I launched the Sculpted Vegan program in October of 2017. I did $53,000 in my first launch. I had spent £10,000 on ads, which was about $13,000. And then I'd invested about another probably $3,000 in design and that kind of stuff. So I had made a good amount of profit. And so I took that money, I went to my very rich friend who I was telling you about earlier, and I said to her, will you lend me £30,000? Because I have this proof of concept. And I know that if I know that there's a market for this now and I want to try and scale this. And she said, yeah, sure, no problem. So she lent me 30,000 and I took that money then and I hired an advertising agency, a Facebook advertising agency. I went to Amy Porterfield and I said, which one do you use? And it was a company called Tier 11, which were called Dominate Web Media at the time. I hired them to do my Facebook ads and they scaled the business over the next year. And we went from we literally, as soon as they took over and they like moved everything around in the Facebook ads, and you're talking six years ago now,
Just jump
when
in there.
Facebook ads were still profitable.
Hit really lucky on the scaling with the paid ad company, because unfortunately there's so many companies out there that say they can do paid ads and they can't.
Yes. Well, you see, what I did was, which is probably what you do, I went to Amy Porterfield, who was running a multi-million-dollar company successfully and had been for years, and was like, who do you use? Yeah. So, and I think that's the thing that a lot of people don't have, Tommy. They don't have balls. Like I said to this guy, somebody said to me the other week, well, it was actually my CTO in my company, right? We're talking about launching Only Fitness, my new fitness app. And he goes to me, oh, I think we should do this and we should charge this. I said, no, Ross, no. We're sticking to the plan. We're not charging. We're removing all friction points. It's completely free. And he goes, you know what, Kim, I hate to say it, but you have bigger balls than I do. And I said, I laughed, but it's true. But I think that this is the thing that a lot of people don't have. Like I was brand new, starting out, had just launched one program, made $53,000. But I went to Dominate Web Media, who were one of the biggest ad agencies in the world. Their minimum ad spend was 50 grand a month. That was the minimum you had to spend to retain them. $50,000. I didn't have any money, Tommy. And so this had to work, but their monthly retainer was $8,000 a month. That was their fee. Yeah, so I went from, I had the balls, I had the tenacity to believe in myself enough to not go, because most people go, well, I'll go on people per hour, or I'll ask around and I'll find someone who's doing Facebook ads. And so they hire, or their cousin Joe knows some bloke who lives in Macrofelt who's really good on Facebook, and they hire him, to do their ads. And they expect this bloke is going to like literally create world domination for them. And then they're angry with him when he doesn't. But I'm like, you get what you pay for. I went from
success leads clues.
Yes, it does. Success leads clues. And I went to $8,000 a month with a $50,000 a month ad spend, which at the time was huge for me, but huge for anybody. And I went there immediately. And I was like, well, if these people are as good as they say they are, they're going to start making me money immediately. And as soon as they took over, it took about a month for everything to, really kick in. But they started running what's called Evergreen. They started running Facebook ad traffic to the replay of the masterclass. People watched the masterclass and then they bought the program at the end of it. And so to go back to the numbers, I knew that if I had to bring in X amount of people to register for the masterclass in order to sell 2%. And so we consistently sold 2% of registrations. So if I registered 1,000 people a day to watch that masterclass, I knew that we were selling 1 to 2% of 1,000. So we actually ended up going, I think we started selling about between 6 and 12 programs a day. after they took off. So we were making between 6 and 12,000 a day in
Wow.
sales. Now, it wasn't all up front. Some of it, about 25% of it was up front, and the other 75% was paid over 12 months because we had a 12-month payment plan.
Yeah.
And that is how I scaled to 1 million in the first year. Was that, but I also did a couple of big launches. Like I reopened the program. I did another big webinar launch in that year. Let me think. It was the following September. I launched a 4-week shred competition, which we made. That made us about 100 grand. And then I reopened the Sculpt and Shred program, did another big launch, and that did about 250,000 in that particular launch. And so we did 330,000 in that. So between that 330 plus it was 430 plus the evergreen webinar, we ended up doing over 1 million in the first year. But it was knowing the numbers and having big, massive balls. That's really the only way I can describe it. If you want to be big,
podcast quote on the planet.
yeah, but you have to think big. You literally, if you want to be big, you have to think big. Like I am a go big or go home kind of girl. You have to take
people that say to me
risks.
sometimes, like, how do you achieve the things that you're doing, or how do you stand with people like Grant Cardone? All I did was change my thinking. Like I remember being in a hot bucket of water in a fish and chip shop, freezing, shaking at the age of 10, 40 years ago, making chips because we were flat ass broke. And I got my first job at the age of 10. But I always had huge thinking, to the point where my mom used to say to me, "Where did we get you, son, the movies?" And once we can tweak and change our thinking, because that's what I do with my clients in the Dream Mentoring Program, the people are already geniuses. All you do is tweak their thinking to make them believe. I don't think you need it tweaked. You're there.
Yeah, I don't know why I always had so much self-belief. I think it's because I was the youngest of 3 girls and I had a very loving family. And all I ever remember was my mom and dad and my grandparents who lived right beside us saying my entire childhood, like, you can do anything. You can do anything you put your mind to. That was the belief that I was brought up with. You can be anything, change anything, go anywhere, anything. And all I ever heard was, Kimmy, you can be anything you want. Anything you want, you can do. And that was what I grew up with. That's what we all grew up with. My sister created Babo Kush, which is, which is like revolutionized the baby industry. It's a baby chair where the baby lies in its tummy. It took her 12 years to develop that product. She did 3 million in her first year. So we were always instilled a really strong work ethic and just told you can do and be whatever you want. Just go and do it.
Family of winners win. Everybody's winning.
Well, yeah, I don't know. And then my older sister, she's the opposite. She's just like, no, she's a director in the family business. She's like, I'm just happy with my job and my family and my choir that I sing in the weekend. We're kind of on a scale, Carol's like nice and chill. Carrie's a wee bit more crazy. And I'm like the absolute nutty one in the family.
So across the globe, you've changed. Like I'm a huge believer in women power and girl power. Like my beautiful wife Dolores, my 2 daughters Farah and Rihanna, my granddaughter baby Nova, my amazing female team in Dream Mentoring, Ashley, Catherine. But like you're changing people's lives. When we really break this down. By the way, you're energizing the life out of me just listening to you. But let's really break this down. Okay, the businesswoman's there, but you're serving people. It's a lot bigger than this. And again, take the compliment instead of playing it down, because you don't take compliments very well. You are changing people's lives. You're serving and changing people's lives. Like that is, excuse my language, fucking fantastic. How does that feel when you really go, I'm making a difference to people? Because you are.
Yeah, do you know what's funny? In the beginning, you definitely notice it more in the beginning. And I said this actually to my husband the other week. I said to him, you really have to stop for a minute and take stock of things. And because I get people writing to me in my Facebook groups, on Instagram, sending emails to customer service on a daily basis saying, I just want to tell, Kim, oh my God, Kim and Constable is amazing. Like you literally, it could go to your head, Kim's amazing. Kim's wonderful. Kim's incredible. Kim's changed my life. Kim's done this. Kim's done that. Kim Constable's programs are phenomenal. And you almost become, because it happens so often, you don't appreciate it as much anymore. And I said that to Ryan the other week. We were chatting and I said, sometimes, I see these amazing messages that people sent me. And sometimes I find myself just skimming them and going, oh, isn't that nice? And then just going on because it happens so much. And because you have it so much, you don't appreciate it. And I promised myself a little while ago, I was like, you know what? I'm actually going I'm going to stop taking this for granted, because just because it happens all the time, these people are pouring. And it wasn't that I was going to say they're pouring their hearts out to me. It wasn't that I ever was dismissive or not appreciative. It just, you begin to not notice it as much because it happens so much. And I made a promise to myself recently. I was like, whenever someone pours their heart into a message to
Yeah.
me, I'm going to actually really, take time to appreciate it for a second, because the time that it took someone to write that is, it really should be honored. But also, it's hard, Tommy. I would love to sit here and say, oh my God, it feels amazing, like changing all these women's lives. And it just feels so amazing. But honestly, it just feels like, and this isn't me not taking a compliment, it just feels like what I do. It's just what I do.
It's became your normal. But can I also say to you, you carry it so well because you're a very humble person. Like you're a nice, normal, humble person who is a global fucking superstar. I think that was my third F bomb.
Is that bad, by the way? I love the word fuck. I say it all the time. It's one of my favorite words.
But let's also say, social media has changed the entire world. You've got 4.7 million followers. Like,
Yeah.
wow. Tell
Yeah.
us about that journey.
Well, let me tell you actually about that. I'm always very real about my Instagram. I'll tell you what happened, because people always say, how did you get so many followers on Instagram? Well, it was
4.7 million.
it was a little bit of luck, a little bit of paid content, and then also just a little bit of who you know. So whenever I was lucky to start an Instagram back in the early days, whenever it was relatively new. So I started my account in 2017, 16, I think it was, way back then, when it was kind of easy to get a lot of followers on Instagram. And whenever I then first started, going down the bodybuilding route and down the vegan route, first of all, it was yoga. And then I started going down the bodybuilding route. I grew my Instagram quite quickly, because you could grow it then, if you know what I mean. Like now it's very hard to grow your Instagram account, but I grew it very quickly to probably about 80,000 followers, I think, at the time. And then, but then what happened was I became very good friends with a guy who runs a global like social media company, if you like. And so, and he is like a real hustler. Like he's young, he's only in his 20s, and I adore him. Like his name's Kevin, and I just adore him. He's Spanish, he's from South America, and he runs this global social media company. And he and I, how did we even meet? I can't even remember how we were introduced. Someone said, oh, you'd love Kevin, Kevin love you. You guys should meet. So we met, and he was like, and then he said to me, oh, well, what do you want to do with your Instagram? And I was like, I don't know, want to grow it. And he was like, do you want me to grow it for you? And I was like, yeah, but not with like bots or like, like I don't want a paid following. And he's like, no, that's not what we do. So this is just me being completely transparent. Here's what Kevin does. Kevin has a whole team of YouTubers, Instagram influencers, people with massive accounts in loads of different areas, but YouTube is actually where he gets most of the Instagram followers from. So he will actually do shout outs in his team. So he will get his entire team to they will do giveaways, they will do shout outs, they'll do fitness giveaways, they'll do like those iPhone giveaways and that kind of stuff. And he has this way of dropping you into these different giveaways and doing these different shout outs. And every so often he'll just like, my Instagram will start like climbing, and I'll be like, Kevin, what did you do? And he's like, oh, I just got one of the guys on YouTube to drop you into one of the giveawaways. So a lot of my followers are younger followers and stuff as well. They're not, I'm a complete transparency. I'm not like your man, Anatoly, Anatoly. I love him. Vladimir, is that his name? Do you know the fitness guy who does the gym pranks?
Yes. Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's not like him. Like he grew big organically. I didn't. I paid for my following, as in like I employed a social media company to grow it, and but my stories are still watched by about 25,000 people a day. So you could say maybe with 4.7 million that should be higher. I don't know if it is or it isn't, but my engagement is massive. Like it's massive on my posts, and it's massive in my stories. But I did have a helping hand from Kevin in growing it, and I'm always very transparent. And then people say to me, well, is that not fake then? Is that not like, they're not real followers? And I would say,
That's somebody looking to try and find an excuse of why you're successful.
Well, here's the other thing. You have to know, and this is what I say to people, you have to know why you're doing what you're doing. And the reason why I grew my Instagram that big is because it's not because I wanted to have like, it's a vanity number. And I always say to people, it's a vanity metric. So because whenever I would have recommended Kevin to people, especially in my business mentoring, whenever I used to do it, I used to recommend Kevin to people all the time. And they used to say, oh, but are they real followers? I'm like, well, yeah, they are real people, but are they going to be interested in buying your program? Probably not. And they're like, oh, well, why would I have it then? I'm like, well, you have to understand it's a perception, it's a vanity number. So what happens is people come onto people go, oh, Sculpted Vegan. Oh, right. Yeah, I've seen that before. Loads, they sell loads of programs, whatever. And then they go on the Sculpted Vegan Instagram and they go, wow, 4.7 million followers. And they go, big program, big company, seen loads of advertising, 4.7 million, trustworthy.
Yeah. Oh,
It's a
100%.
perception. And here's the thing, we are trustworthy. I am not. There are people I know who have paid for followings on their Instagram, grown them massively. Then this one particular girl, she tried to talk me into this until I saw what she was doing. She grew her Instagram, grew it, paid for a following up to 9 million or something she went up to. And then she was running this TV channel where she would get people to pay her like 8 grand each to be on this TV channel. And then she would show that, oh, and we'll promote it and all of our following and you'll have all of this reach. But it was all smoke and mirrors. She paid for her following. She interviewed these people. They paid her 8 grand each to be interviewed. And then she artificially inflated the numbers on the post by, I don't know, buying likes or views or whatever. So it was it was a sham. And
Right.
so whenever you're using, and this is what I teach people whenever they ask about the Instagram, I say to them, if you're using it to make money unethically, and you're using that Instagram, you're using that, that those millions of followers or those hundreds of thousands that you bought, if you're using those to make money unethically and it's a lie and you're pretending that you have all of this following and you're getting all this free stuff or you're getting people to pay you money, that is an unethical use of Instagram. I don't use my Instagram ever to make money. I do zero paid promotions. If people have offered me money to do promotions and I say, no, I'm not, I've never used my Instagram in any way to make money. I only use it as just a way to connect to my follower. But the 4.7 million is a vanity metric, which I have strategically grown it to in order to support the
Like, I
ecosystem of
didn't
the
know you
business.
and I seen it. Instantly, I take you serious.
Exactly.
Instantly, you're like, wow, I need to know more right now. And
Yeah.
you've captured me instantly, And one of
But
the
Tom,
things,
can I say something though? People go, but that's fake. But here's the thing I really want to hit home on. If you are a fake person and you have bad intent, then it is bad to do that.
yeah,
If you're a good person and you have good intent, which I do, and this is what I want your listeners to really think about, if it all comes down to intent, my intent was never to make money, to exploit people, to make money out of, people, advertisers who wanted to give me money for whatever. I was never going to use that number to exploit people. I am a good person. I provide incredible value through my programs. My company is the largest in the world because our programs work, not because I've gone
I
around
have to
pulling the
just
wool over
stop you
people's
there. I
eyes.
think you explained it amazingly.
Okay, good. I just really
I have
wanted
to
to
be
hear
honest, if you didn't, I would have been calling you out saying I don't
Yeah.
agree because I'm
Okay.
not that guy. I'll call you out. I think you explained it brilliantly. The bit that also bothers me is other mentors and coaches who are getting a photograph standing beside a Lamborghini and this and that, and it's not theirs. And they're prevailing this life that supposedly is theirs, and it ain't. And they're selling a lifestyle to people, and they've never been the businessman, the businesswoman. They've never felt what it's like to go through adversity and fight COVID when you own a hotel business. And that bothers me. Because
Yeah.
that's fake. Just to jump onto something that's probably a touchy one for anybody, but not for me and you. The haters, like it's water up a duck's back to me. And at your level, which I'm gonna catch up with you. At your level, how do you deal with it?
Honestly, so I have two ways of dealing with it. I'm smiling because you've no idea how much fun I have with them. So I I love the haters. I get so
Oh,
happy whenever someone leaves a negative comment on my Instagram, like, or on my Facebook. I posted a picture the other day. I'm selling one of my daughter's horses. And so I posted a thing, I put an ad or reshared an ad on my Facebook the other day. And of course I had the vegan police on going, oh, a vegan who rides horses for and exploits them for pleasure. And I was like, oh, goody. And I was like, I loved it. And so I responded back and said, so I either have a bit of fun with them, right? And I responded back and was like, well, actually, you're incorrect. I'm not vegan. I'm plant-based, very openly plant-based. And, the company is, I said, I'm very openly plant-based, but, and I said to her, I can't remember what I said, like, oh, do you ever get dizzy up there on your high horse looking down at us all? And then she came back and was like, oh, as I thought, when she gave some other snide comment and, but you are, you're making money. This is what they always say. You're making money out of, exploiting a concept that you don't even believe in. And I wrote back and said, listen, love, I said, if I worked,
listen,
listen, love, I was like, the Sculpted Vegan, the company is vegan. I, Kim Constable, the person, am plant-based. I was like, if I started a company selling dildos, that would not, in fact, make me a dildo. And I said, I said, if you started a company making dildos, that would not, in fact, make you a dildo. I said, but your comments here are now leaving me wondering. And I said, so honestly,
dildos, you could have told her to go fuck herself.
Exactly. I just said, so honestly, I think I said, oh, piss off. In fact, I think my first comment, which actually had like 130 like people laughing emojis on it, my first comment actually was, oh, piss off, go and stop, wasting your energy here. And then we went to have the conversation about the dildos, and I was tittering away to myself writing this. And my husband goes, what are you doing? I said, oh, I'm just having the best fun with this asshole on Facebook. And I don't really think she's an asshole. Honestly, I understand that she just has misplaced anger. She wants to punish me for not living up to some kind of ideal or whatever. But so that is one way I deal with it. But the other way is, and this is I want to leave your listeners with the 3 most powerful words in the English language, which I use all the time. And when listen, Tom, see, when you learn these 3 words, your life changes. Your life changes. I've taught these to my kids and they use them everywhere. So everyone listening, if you have kids, teach these to your kids. The 3 words are, and I'm going to give you context in a minute, but the 3 words are, you're probably right. That's what I say to people. They go, Kim, you should this, or you're show off with all your money and you're just like, you're this and you're this. And I go, you're probably right. And they're like it cuts them off at the knees. Cuts them off at the knees. And like my son, my 12-year-old came down the other day and he goes, oh, mom had the best. He said the best time online. He said some guy online he said he was doing something in one of these games and he was, he stole, I don't know, but games they play, stole something, did something. He goes, so I left the game. And he goes, and then he came after me and he literally private messaged me and he started going, you're such a mummy's boy, you're such a wanker, you're this, you're that, whatever, like my son is 12, right? And he goes, and I said to him, you're probably right. And Jack says to him, you're probably right. And he goes, yeah, I am right, you little, jumped up little pipsqueak, blah, blah, blah. And he's coming out and Jack was like, yeah, sure, you're probably right. He said it to him a couple of times, you're probably right. And the guy just went away and Jack came down. He was like, it was the best thing ever. It was so much fun. Because when someone wants to pick a fight with you, I do love fighting with them sometimes, so I entertain myself with it. But mostly what I say is, oh, you're probably right. Because you lose nothing by letting someone else be right. I did it today with someone who was telling me, oh, you should have done this and that and whatever. And I was like, this obviously is very important to this person. So I just wrote back and said, you're probably right. And it's very empowering to say to somebody, you're probably right, because it just finishes the conversation.
Back going, thank you for respecting my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's very hard though, especially whenever you're like, and you're gearing for a fight. But honestly, if you can just practice going, you're probably right. Just let them be right. You lose nothing by letting someone else be right.
For every kid and every man and woman, make your enemy your partner by just canceling it out.
Yeah, just cancel and that's it. And honestly, I don't even have time to fight with the haters anymore. But I do also have the mindset of, I know a lot of people like Gary Vee will be like, oh, just love them, just love the haters. And I'm like, no, fuck that. I'm not going to love the haters. Because here's the thing. One of the other things I will also say is, bad things don't exist in the world because of the people who do them, but because of the people who stand by and say nothing. And I always say that to my kids. My 3 favorite things I say to my kids are, you're probably right. I tell them that bad things don't exist in the world because of the people who do them, but because of the people who stand by and say nothing. I say, if you see an injustice in the world and you say nothing, you are siding with the oppressor. You must speak up. You must speak up. And then the other one I always say to them is, your success in life will be judged by the amount of difficult conversations you're willing to have. Have the difficult conversation. And the more of them you have, the more successful you will be. And so I do believe that if a lot of trolling exists online because we allow it to exist. And so if someone comes on and starts trolling someone or starts trolling me, I will quite often hold that person accountable. And I will say, no, hang on a wee second here. Here's where you're incorrect. I am plant-based. The company is vegan. So actually your assumption is wrong. Now, if you then start to get into and you're right, wrong, that's different. But if someone is trolling someone, I will call them out because I'm not a conflict avoider. I'm not afraid to have the difficult conversation. Actually, I hate conflict, but I don't avoid it. So haters, yeah, you just say either you're probably right or have a wee bit of fun with them. But lastly, one more thing. And again, this was something I learned from Grant Cardone, who I absolutely adore, is like if people talk about you negatively, you'll make a lot more money. the more people say, oh my God, Kim Constable, have you seen her? Like, isn't she so stuck up? Like her with her Chanel handbags, and she's always going to the Marbella Club, and like, you know, she just thinks she's this, but sure, she lives in this house and she's chipped window ledges. Apparently, this is what they were all saying about me. Like, I
Yeah.
chipped window ledges because we live in a 100-year-old house, and I can be arsed to paint it. I painted the window ledges now this year, not me personally, but and so they said we're all talking about me, and if people are talking about you negatively, like, what's the first thing you do when someone talks negatively about someone else? You pick up your phone, you go, hey, is this person? I'll just check them out
Everybody's
here.
talking. You're still winning.
Yeah, you go and check them out,
Still,
because people who hate you will be more motivated to talk about you than people who love you. So
but I
if you want to
also
spread the
believe the
word,
haters end up coming back to admire you when they
of
really go,
course.
she is great.
And
Or
has anyone else's negative opinion of someone else ever actually put you off? If someone goes, "Oh my God, Tommy the entrepreneur, he's a dick," like, do you? And if you're the kind of person who likes to make up your mind about things, you're going to go, "Who?" And then you go, "Well, I wonder, is he really a dick, or are you a dick?"
well, I would always believe, somebody's opinion of you can only affect you if you give it permission to.
True.
And I'm on this journey of success. Haters can come and go. In fact, the more I grow, the more they'll come. And it's water if it ducks back to me. It's never going to affect me. I don't care what happens. I'm just on this journey. And I've never had the time to reply to anybody. I'm never going to, ever. And it just
Well, I
is.
do, because it drives more engagement. So there's another thing, just Instagram, the algorithm loves comments. So I get
People
into a wee
start doing.
argument with them. And I felt so powerful once, because I actually wrote a comment. I'm very good friends with Michaela Peterson, Jordan Peterson's daughter. And she is she's a carnivore. Like, she only eats meat. And so we always laugh, the carnivore and the vegan. And so she posted something recently, and I went on and wrote a comment and was like, oh, you're so gorgeous, or something really supportive. Like, I've known her for years. We've been like really, really close friends for years. And so I wrote this lovely comment, and someone went on and wrote underneath it, like, so, oh yeah, the vegan on here, like, doing, some negative comment or whatever. And then someone else came in and commented on them. And then two people like started having a fight in the comments under my comment. And there was like 86 comments under my comment, 86 replies. And I went in, I messaged Michaela, and I was like, I felt like God today, because I went in and I looked at this argument that was happening under my comment, and I just went swipe, and I just swiped and deleted the comment, which just deleted the entire argument. I felt like, I was like, this was so good. I felt so good doing it. These two strangers arguing on the internet. Where do people find the time? But last thing I want to say about the haters is they're necessary, Tommy. They're necessary. If you don't have haters, you're not doing anything worthwhile.
Part of the journey.
Yeah, just like in business, if you're not getting sued or you're not getting reported to the ASA, oh my God, the trolls love to report me to the Advertising Standards Agency. They think that it hurts me, but just makes us tighten up our business practices.
Just
But
to
like, we're,
mention Grant Cardone again, like, I remember in the middle of COVID, we lost £5 million in the first 2 weeks, and an ad come up on LinkedIn, or a post by Grant. What lives on the other side of massive adversity? The life of your wildest dreams. And I just went, let's go. I needed to hear it. So
right.
it's just all part of this.
Mm-hmm.
The haters, the adversity, like you just mentioned. If you're not being sued, or you're in the middle of having to fix something and deal with this, to grow, you need more problems.
That's true.
You want more
Yeah.
problems to make more money.
I did that during COVID too. I nearly lost my business during COVID. It was still very much in infancy, and I was really in it was only my third year in business, and I had invested 120 grand on a credit card for ads that we were running for one of the big launches. And I didn't have 120 grand in liquid cash in the bank. And COVID hit right on the first day of my launch. And I thought I was going to lose the whole business and have to pay back this 120 grand loan. And I remember sitting on the sofa at, like, I would go to bed, usually have a few drinks to literally knock myself out. I was so worried and stressed at the time when the whole COVID thing was happening. I remember then waking up a few hours later, couldn't go back to sleep, went downstairs, put the computer on my knee, was sitting in front of the fire. And I was sitting there going, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I'd already looked at all the staff costs and who I could let go, or how I could ask them to take pay cuts or whatever. And I remember then looking and going, no, Kim, there's opportunity in every crisis. Where's the opportunity?
Absolutely.
Where's the opportunity? And I started looking, I went around the internet. And I thought, I'm going to look for all the good things that have happened because of COVID. So I Googled good things that have happened because of COVID. And I started looking at all of the, things that had cleared, and dolphins were like swimming through what do you call that Italian city that's underwater? Venice. And, I just started looking for all the good things. Where's the opportunity? Where's the opportunity? Where's the opportunity? And I found an opportunity. I was like, people are at home. They're worried about money. They still want to work out, but gyms are closed. I'm going to create a program for them. We went from idea to launch in 2 weeks, recorded all the videos, did all the sales things, did all the design, did everything. The whole team pulled together. We did 230,000 in that one launch. And we launched 11 programs in 12 months during the COVID year and doubled our turnover. We doubled our turnover during COVID because I looked for the opportunity in the crisis. Look for the opportunity in the crisis and focus on that, and you'll always make it through.
Get it. Can I just say, I think you're incredible. You've energized the life out of me. Goose pimples the whole way through this. If I had to ask you, what obstacle have you had to overcome and allow yourself to fear less on this journey? What has been the obstacle?
Honestly, what other people think. Mostly my family. In the beginning, that was the hardest thing. And I'm saying that because I know that's the thing that most people fear. People come to me and they say, how did you, like, my husband doesn't want me to do this, like my husband's angry with me because I'm working at night. Women come to me and say, how did you push through and do this? How did you make this happen? Because whenever you're the only one with the vision and no one else around you can see the benefits, all they can see are the downsides. You're never there anymore. You're always working. You're never there for dinner. Your other responsibilities are suffering, and you can see in your head where you want to go. But all anyone else can see are negatives because that's all there is in the beginning. And I was a stay-at-home mum who was responsible for the cooking, the washing, the cleaning, the ironing, everything to do with the house. Ryan earned the money. And I decided not only was I going to be a bikini athlete, a professional bodybuilder, but I was going to build a business at the same time. And Ryan's life changed. I tried to keep all the balls in the air at home. I don't think I did too badly, but he did not. He was like, why can't you just be happy with me working and you being a stay-at-home mom? That was our agreement. Why do you have to do this?
You wouldn't have been happy.
No, I wouldn't have been happy. And my mom was like, oh my God, you're going to be standing on stage. What are the people in the golf club going to say? And no one ever came to watch me compete. My sister came once, Ryan came twice. That was it. Everyone was against me. And I had to keep my head down and keep my vision of where I was going and just know. And of course, they all love it now. Now I'm the breadwinner at home, and everyone loves the holidays and the expensive gifts and all of the things that the success provides. But in the beginning, when you're the only one with the vision, no one else can see what you're doing. It's easy. I hate to say it's easier for a man, Tommy, but it is, because men are supposed to go out and strive and be successful, but women are supposed to be at home looking after the kids and the family.
I don't agree with you there because, my beautiful wife, Dolores, the only thing she's ever asked me for in her life is for me to spend time with her. And there's times that I have to make her feel hurt that I'm not spending that time. And believe me, it's the last thing in the world I want to do. But my vision and goal, the whole point I'm doing it for is for my wife and children and granddaughter. And sometimes I might upset her, and I don't mean to upset her. For all the money in the world, I wouldn't do it. But for her just to want to spend time with me, it's the most amazing, beautiful accolade I've ever been asked. Or I want you to spend time with me. That's it.
I understand that.
Definitely comes with its challenges.
Yeah, you're right. Because whenever Ryan was striving to build his company and be successful, all I wanted him to do was be at home more with me and the kids. But I have to say, I am very fortunate because there's two sides to it. He understands what I'm doing because he was doing it too for many, many years. So he's very supportive. But the second thing is he now doesn't have to strive anymore. And it, so I've actually taken that pressure off him. And so I have to say, yeah, you're probably right. I think the most successful relationship, certainly having been on both sides of it, is when you both understand the journey, and Ryan understands the journey I'm on. And I think that makes a big difference. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I totally hear what you're saying. But that would be my advice: is you have to keep strong. Through all the adversity, I used to be like, I know where I'm going. I know where I'm going. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. I know where I'm going. And just having to keep my blinkers on and not listen to what anyone said or anyone thought, or everyone was like, you're going to make a bodybuilding program for vegan women in their 40s. Like who's going to buy that? And I just had to go, I know this will work. 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 And I did not listen to anyone who told me that it wouldn't work, because I knew that it would work. It had to work. And it did.
I have to say, genuinely, I'm one of your biggest fans.
Thank you. I am yours as well.
Got the utmost respect for you. I feel truly privileged that you've come on and done this today. And like
Tommy, I don't go on anyone's podcast, just FYI.
I know that, girl.
I don't do interviews anymore, honestly.
And, I just believe so many people will learn a lot from this, and they'll also get to see the real Kim. So I would just like to say a huge thank you from me and my team from the Fearless podcast, and keep doing what you're doing. And let me see this $1 billion woman who's about to pop up. You're about to become her, so keep going.
I am. Only Fitness, we shouldn't even talk about my new business launching later on this year, completely going to revolutionize the fitness industry. Just watch this space.
Just to jump on that a second, I believe you're going to help PTs globally. Like what?
Not even PTs, just fitness influencers. It's basically the whole concept of Only Fitness is people kept saying to me, what do you know, how can I do what you've done with how can I take my fitness business online and do what you've done and make the money you've made? And whenever I started telling them all the things they had to do, we need to get a website and a designer and a Facebook ads company, you need to do this, and you need to get Sam Carton and payment processor and PayPal, and you have to, you know, they were like, oh. So I was like, how can I take every single thing that I use to run my business and build it into an app and give it to them for free so they can play? And then they can put, you know, so you can put up PDFs, posts, videos, you can build like simple sales pages in there. And it's all free. The only time you pay is when you get paid. We take 20% of revenue. So you could use it for free forever. You could go, okay, I'm ready to now put up something that's paid. I made it as PDF. I'm going to put it on here on Only Fitness. I'm going to promote it. And we only make money when you do. Apart from that, it's completely free. We built an advertising platform into it as well. So people can pay to boost, like on Gumtree, if you sell something on Gumtree, they can pay to boost their posts, have them featured, have them seen by more people within their categories. I've spent 2.5 years building it. It's cost me over 2 million. I've been financially raping my company to pay for it. And we're finally launching at the end of this year. And I have a coding genius works for me full time. So I'm the marketing and he's the coding. And we've literally, well, it's my brainchild. He works for me. He's an employee, but he is an absolute genius. And yeah, it's going to launch later this year. And that's my $1 billion business. Tommy, there's only one way that you make $1 billion. Not one way, but one of the ways that you can make $1 billion by scaling your business is if you go into software in this way. But the only way that software works in this way is if you have a marketing genius. Hello, modest, and a coding genius. You can't employ an app company to build this for you. You have to bring two people together with the skill set. And Ross literally sits at home 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, coding this app. That's all he does. It's his full-time job, and it has been for the last 2 years. So hopefully, once we get the massive users on it, my company supports it. You know, the Sculpted Vegan supports it. Once it launches, there's no overheads. I don't have any debt to pay off or anything because the company has built it. So we have all of this room just to let people play with it and make money with it. And hopefully it's going to grow into kind of the Instagram of the fitness world. So if you want a fitness program, you can go and you can go CrossFit, gymnastics, barre, yoga, massage. You know, you can go through all the categories and you can look up programs and it's got not even programs, just pictures, features, videos, you know, content people are creating every day anyway. They can create it in a specific industry for fitness people and get paid for doing it, or just make it free.
Can I be the first person to say congratulations in advance for being a super success, as everything you do. Have you enjoyed the podcast? Because it's been
great. It's been great. I've actually been having a hard time recently. My 16-year-old son moved out, which is kind of what you always want. You hope that you brought your kids up well enough to be independent of you, but I don't know that you're ever prepared for it when it goes. And he, just before his 16th birthday, decided that he wanted to stand on his own 2 feet and he wanted to move out. But not only do he want to move out, he doesn't want to have any more communication with anyone in the family. He wants to completely stand on his own 2 feet for a couple of years.
Okay.
So, and that involves
who he gets that from?
Well, I probably Ryan, I think. And so that involves not speaking to anyone in the family. So he was like, I want you to respect my wishes. I'm moving out. I want no financial support. I don't even want to, and I don't want anyone to interfere with me. I just need you to leave me be. And we were like, okay. And so that's it. He's gone. And so that's been really hard. I didn't even speak to him on his birthday. So I've been really struggling with that. I almost feel like I've really been mourning the loss of my second child. And so this has really actually perked me up because I love talking about myself.
What a nice way to finish.
Kim, yeah, thanks, Tommy.
Thank you for absolutely everything. Thank you for coming on. For everybody that's going to be listening to this, I'm sure they will be blown away.
That's all the swearing.
And you know, I love my saying, being winners win, but you're truly a complete winner, and the pride of our country too. So keep flying the flag, and huge congratulations, and thank you very much for today.
Thank you, Tommy, and thank you for having me. I really have genuinely enjoyed it. And I've enjoyed getting to know you better as well. So that's been a bonus.
See you soon. Thanks very much.
Take care. Talk to you soon.